Merry Christmas, belatedly, Happy New Year's as we finally kickstart 2019. And yeah, this video was remember how I always do a tradition every year now recently, how I talk about wrestler's year? Well, I was planning to do that after the final Raw and when the tapings were done. That I would start talking about all of the episodes of Raw and Smack of the top people I had this year. And I suddenly got sick on Christmas Day and I had to delay that. I even had to delay my Aquaman video that I was going to talk about because I already saw it. But yeah, so a lot of things got delayed, so it's just me posting random gameplay footage. So I decided, I'm gonna have to wait till I'm all better, and I'm still not better yet. I'm still a little congested, and my nose will probably be running a little bit. So expect that to be happening in the video. But yeah. So let's talk about who was floundering and was hardly getting noticed to suddenly becoming the top dog, so to speak, of WWE. The man, Becky Lynch. So yeah, Becky Lynch had a very, very floundering year. She was literally floundering at this point when the year started. Like, her career was not going anywhere. She was stuck in this feud with the Riot Squad with her and Flair and Naomi. And yeah, it's almost like what happened with Bayley and Sasha Banks. They're stuck in a never-ending feud with the Riot Squad. I'm still trying to wonder that. Oh, and if you've noticed, I got this for Christmas. This is the worst town I've ever been to. SoCal Uncensored. Yeah. So I'm talking about WWE stuff, and yet I'm wearing the Ring of Honor Independent Wrestling shirt. But that's going to piss Vince off if he ever saw this video. So, yeah. Becky Lynch's year wasn't really looking so good. At the time when the year started, she was being announced as one of the first Women's Royal Rumble matchup, and I was all ecstatic for it. A lot of people were ecstatic for it. And we were going to get a whole bunch of entertainment processing with this. Like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Paige originally, and then Sasha accidentally injured her and her career was forever ruined. And then they delayed the retirement because they dare say that Paige's retirement is going to put a downer on WrestleMania. So we're going to career shame her potentially. Yeah, I'm still mad about what they said at WrestleMania, where they had her say, even though everyone knew, and everyone and their grandmother knew, that her contract wasn't going to end, but she was retired officially. They just waited till after WrestleMania, but they had her say, maybe next year. And I was like, so Vince, are you just okay with career shaming her? Really? But anyways, so yeah, Becky Lynch enters the Women's Royal Rumble at number 2. And she did pretty well. She lasted for 30 minutes before getting eliminated by Ruby Riott. And when I had realized it, I realized, wait, did Becky Lynch ever have a match with Ruby Riott one-on-one? Like, it was, like, during her winning streak when, I'll get to that in a moment. So, and once again, they go back to feuding, and nothing really goes on for Becky Lynch that time. So then she finally participates in the Women's Battle Royale, which was originally supposed to be the Fabulous Moolah Battle Royale, and then all controversy happened, and how her shady business practice she did was exploitive and whatnot. I'd rather not get into that. But, yeah, I probably could have worn the Mayan shirt, but I don't have that shirt as much as I probably should. And yeah, but she qualified for the Money in the Bank ladder match after losing the Women's Battle Royal, being eliminated from her old rival Mickie James. And she would ultimately lose the Money in the Bank match to Alexa Bliss. And she would cash in later that night. Look, I like Alexa Bliss, but I always think, like, okay, can we get a break from her? She's getting too over pushed for me to take. And yeah, if you see my rest of my stuff, yeah, you'll notice a bunch of Pop Funkos a lot more now, including a Porg. Anyways, so leading to this, Becky Lynch would start to finally get a winning streak going on as preparation for SummerSlam. She would defeat Billie Kay, Pete and Royce, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, and I was thinking they were going to do Ruby Riott. They didn't do that. And she would also defeat Carmella, the then women's champion of SmackDown, defeating the likes of Asuka, because that makes sense. Oh, wait. Vince wants to portray as an idiotic foreigner because if you're good, then you must be stupid, or if you're evil, then you hate America. That's the Vince foreign philosophy. So, yeah. But her wins ultimately mounted to her getting a title shot at SummerSlam. And then Charlotte came back from her surgery. Yeah, for a ruptured implant. Yeah. And she, for all intents and purposes, was handed the match. It's like she just had to beat Carmella, whereas, let's see how many people that Becky Lynch defeated just to get an opportunity to even earn a chance to win to get into the match. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took 5 people for her to beat, and she did it all through the process. Charlotte, she's a Flair. We'll give her it. Like, all due respect to Charlotte, I do have some criticisms with her promo skills at times, sounding very robotic. But this was blatant favoritism. I calling it favoritism. I don't know if Charlotte wanted to be favored. That's a completely different theory you could go with. But WWE clearly favored her over the foreigner, over the last kicker. Because, well, Kevin Dunn doesn't like Becky Lynch. She's talkative. She speaks a accent. So therefore, we need to treat her with suspicion and hate. But yeah, Becky clearly was having an uphill battle behind the scenes as well to an extent. This is just conjecture on my part. But yeah, this was basically a big behind the scenes battle. Like, you got Triple H in her corner since, she's NXT, so clearly she's going to be supported by Triple H. And plus she hasn't done anything to get heat. You got the xenophobic Kevin Dunn who hates her accent because it's so thick and whatnot. You got Vince McMahon doing everything Kevin Dunn whispers to him. You got the management who likes the Flair dynasty. So, yeah, it was basically an uphill battle. It was her versus 2 favorite superstars because of their looks and name recognition than the woman who came from a foreign country and was in the independents. Yeah, so Flair was added to the match as well, and then subsequently Becky almost gets the win. Everyone was hoping for it, and then Charlotte just takes it and snatches the title from her by pinning her, and everyone's mad, wondering why, and Becky's all distraught. Everyone's mad about it, and then the biggest pop of SummerSlam happened. Becky slaps Charlotte and starts going to town on her, repeatedly punching and slashing and tossing her around like a rag doll. And everyone was like, yeah, Becky, 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 Becky. Everyone was enjoying it. Everyone loved the beatdown she delivered. And this is where everyone kind of got worried as well. Everyone was cheering for Becky, but Vince was not cheering for Becky. In fact, Vince was trying to say, no, boo her, damn it! Like, yeah. Like, at this point, like, Becky was so favorable by the fans, so identifiable as a character, not just as a performer, because think about it. She doesn't come from a family dynasty that WWE has a history with. She doesn't come from a royal blood, so to speak. She doesn't come from America. She comes from the independents. She's a foreigner, and Vince hates that kind of people because it scares him. I'm like, look at Asuka. It took him months to finally say, you know what, fine, let's push her. And that's only because she was cheered over Charlotte, and because Triple H was advocating for her, and certain people backstage were advocating for her, and Dunn doesn't like her, Vince doesn't like her because she speaks Japanese, And now Vince is like, well, if you want Asuka, then you can't have these other Japanese wrestlers. They can't be top stars. There's only room for one. The Dallas McMahon, coming soon. And sure enough, Becky would attack the crowd, claiming they weren't really supporting her the whole time, and claim that she was being denied opportunities, which was always handed to Flair. Okay, the first part, that's complete BS. We know that's Vince talking through the forced writing. Like, everyone was cheering for Becky. Everyone was rooting for Becky for months, saying, we want Becky. Like, it'd be like Zack Ryder when he was getting popular and they were cheering for him for months with the whole Long Island Z thing. And WWE probably, and they probably would have done it, turn him heel and then say, you were never on my side. Even though you gave me millions of viewers, I'm getting a push because of all this and whatnot, but you were never by my side. And everyone was like, just turn her face. Like, she's making valid points. Like, Charlotte is clearly being handed all this because of her name recognition. She's copying a bunch of what Ric Flair did. I'm like, granted, that was to be expected, but still. At least in NXT, Charlotte had an identity. She was called Charlotte, not Charlotte Flair, because, oh, well, she's the daughter of Ric Flair, so we gotta do that. No, you really don't. Maybe she didn't want to be called Flair because people would have looked at her as she was getting favored. But, yeah, the audience began supporting more and more Becky. Becky started saying the word bitch, and everyone was like, yeah, that's the Attitude Era again. Except it's not, and I hate it nowadays when people say, hashtag Attitude Era confirmed. When everyone does something that was reminiscent of the old days, when it was fun and creative most of the time, and would try to bring people to an uncomfortable place, some being downright offensive and some being downright stupid, like the hand, and stupid as in the death angles, but still fun and actually have a passionate roster that actually was allowed to care and give input. So, yeah, so anyways, Becky would ultimately, they decided to try and tweak the storyline. Instead of, you know, doing the obvious and make Becky a face and make Charlotte the villain of the story, they try to make it a moral-centered debate kind of thing, where Charlotte is right and Becky is right. And I was like, they only do things one way. Why would they want to do something that would be too challenging to Vince of the gray area of storytelling? Well, he did say a few years back that heels and faces no longer exist, though, of course, that was a bore-faced lie. And this feud would go on through SummerSlam all the way to basically the end of the year. So, for you see, Charlotte and Becky would have a match at Hell in a Cell. It wasn't the best match they had. I was hoping for a much longer match. But Becky Lynch... Sorry. But Becky Lynch ultimately won the SmackDown Women's Championship for the second time and bragged about it. And then they had a match at Super Showdown where Becky went ahead and basically addressed the whole favoritism problem they do and how people are being held back. And I'm like, Becky, you may be popular, but that's not going to protect you all the time. And whatnot. And how she should be on the poster and not Charlotte. And it's like, okay, is Ryan Ward writing this? I have to think Ryan Ward's writing this. Because Ryan Ward's the only one of the main roster writers since he was NXT that gets the fans' complaints and wants to turn it into a story or an angle on television. You know, like when AJ Styles complained about his face on the poster not being there, or in the back, even though he was the world champion, and yet the world champion or even the universal champion wasn't on the poster. It was all about Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, John Cena, The Undertaker. But that still led to an entertaining moment until Cena went all hypocritical and whatnot with his stupidity. So yeah, they would lead this match at Super Showdown. I didn't watch it. I never watched Super Showdown. I was planning to. I even got some images for the matches I was going to plan to talk about, but that never happened. I might go back to them one day, but yeah, right now, not really. Super Showdown happened, and that's when people start getting mad at WWE's blatant obsession. Like, it was saying that they tried to say that Becky's right, Charlotte's right, they're right, you're both wrong mentality. But no, they were clearly picking a side. They were telling you, pick Charlotte's side, pick her side, pick her side. Because they try to do every heel tactic in the book, like, say, make Becky run away, get herself disqualified, have her get counted out because of the championship advantage rules. And, like, that's not what the Becky we've been getting on television is really imaginatively to believe. Like, I know there's the suspension of disbelief, like the whole, it's the Undertaker and he's a dead man walking, except, everyone knows that's not real. They just buy into it because it's a very well-known character. But Becky's character was showing a confident, arrogant, cocky, tough, come-at-me, bro mentality. And, like, she would not be afraid to back down from a fight. That clearly was her character. But what Vince and the creative team were trying to do was clearly tell you to pick a side. And we're telling you to pick a side. And this was like, it was still making this uphill battle that Becky had to go through just so she could get recognized by the creative team that I should be a face. That I should be this long-term champ. Or should be the man. And sure enough, they did a double countout at SmackDown incident, and it led to Charlotte spearing her through the stage set, trying to replicate what happened between Jericho and Rhino. Except there's just one major difference with this. What happened in 2001? That was a curtain and a motion picture screen that was terrible. What they said to do was, okay, Charlotte, I want you to spear Becky, okay, spear Becky through the LED boards that have no back inside. The inside's on the right, but we're gonna have you spear her through the center where there's nothing but solid, high-tech, sharp objects. And I was like, let's just hope no one gets hurt. Yep, Charlotte got hurt. Yeah, you see, Charlotte got her arm banged up and it was all bloodied and whatnot. And I'm just thinking, like, well, this is what you get, Vince. This is what you cause. You are so far ahead with timing and forget that what's behind the scenes to an extent that you honestly think this is probably 2001 trying to replicate an incident that only can work if you have the right set, but you don't have the right set. You have sharp LED boards that have no protection on the other side, that has no empty area. It's solid. It's hard. If you go through it, you'll really get cuts and bruises. And yet, they'll do it. They can do it, right? Leading to their match at the WWE Evolution event, which was scheduled for a last woman standing match. Not the first. That belongs to Asuka and Nikki Cross at NXT. That put their match in jeopardy. And there was speculation going on that it was going to be Charlotte who gets the victory, but others wanted Becky to get the victory. Creative wanted this, and certain people in WWE didn't want that. And Vince wants this, and Triple H wants that. And sure enough, Becky would get the victory and defeat Flair through the callback to Alexa Bliss's match with Becky, where Becky defeated Charlotte through throwing her through a table. Alexa Bliss had defeated Becky throwing her through a table. Convenience or callback? You make the call. And yeah. So, it was around this time that Becky would start coining herself as the man, claiming to be the top wrestler of the company, the face of WWE. And it'd be awesome if we had a woman be the face of the WWE, not the man thing for the last, God knows, since the beginning of WWE. That's always been the case. Now we want something different. And I hope they don't overblow this and say, it's the first time a woman, you hear me, a woman was the face of the company. Damn it, that woman is the face of the company. Because you want real equality between the sexes, Vince? Don't overblow it. Just give them equal opportunities. Have them have equal timing. Have them have equal importance. Have them be equally given the chance to run as the top person in the company. Not overblow it and say, well, she's a woman. That makes it very important. No, that's playing into one side. I believe, in my opinion, that the dictionary actually backs me up on this. Feminism is the equal of both the female and male genders of the opposite sex. So when you overblow something because, well, it's a woman, that's never happened before, so we need to treat it like it was the greatest thing to happen since sliced bread, I feel like, no, just treat it like it's a normal thing. Like, treat it like it would be a normal thing. Like, society's evolving and we're changing with the times, and everyone is basically equal. We treat them as equals to the men. We basically say, see, there's a woman. She was given the equal opportunity, so we can run with it. Like, at All In, where they had female commentators, and they didn't say, LOL, woman, we have a woman on commentary, isn't this exciting? And it was like, hey, okay. Let's get back to the action. Like, that was probably the problems I have nowadays. They try to overblow the whole women and whatnot. Like, I'm all for the women getting equal opportunities. I just don't want them to overblow it because we already had enough political correctness going on when women of the feminazi thing go ahead and overblow stuff and take things way too far. And yeah, I know where I'm going in with this, and I know I'm gonna probably get blasted in the internet for that. But I don't care. During the Evolution event, we got a moment between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. Becky would go ahead and challenge Ronda. Since Survivor Series, which was always gonna be Raw versus SmackDown, yeah, funny thing about that, it wasn't. You see, before I get into that match, this whole, I'll say that for the Roman Reigns video, because it's just so freaking stunning how much favoritism was given to him. It's just stunning. So, yeah, Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey were scheduled for a huge match that was getting all the hype and all this build-up. Everyone wanted to see this match. The man of SmackDown versus the woman of Raw and whatnot, going at it head-to-head in competition. And there was a lot of plans for this. Like, originally, it was going to main event Survivor Series. Emphasis on was. You see, for those who either were living under a rock or don't watch wrestling but watch my videos, and I'll wonder why you're watching my wrestling video, but I'm alright with it. Becky led an invasion and went all Austin 316, where she goes ahead and gets punched square in the face by Nia Jax. Her nose is broken and she gets a legitimate concussion. But Becky Lynch had said in interviews that, you see, what happened was, after she had got struck in the face by the face breaker, they really went with it instead of punishing her, because rewarding people for punching people in legitimate movesets, even though there was a clear chance you could have avoided that, is clearly the best case scenario for you. In fact, I kind of joked, like, is punching Irish people for some reason going to give you a push in WWE? No, seriously, think about it. Jinder Mahal punches Finn Balor, he's out with a concussion for a week, and then all of a sudden he's the WWE champion that same year. Now Nia punches Becky in the face, and all of a sudden she's getting a push for a possible women's title run. At least until Nia wrote some tweets and really screwed herself over big time when she accused the company of being racists. You know, her employers who can decide her fate because Vince really thinks he's God. Yes, it really happened. So, moving on. So anyways, because of this, Becky was pulled from Survivor Series and replaced Flair, which would also give Asuka the opportunity to get pushed when she was popped over Flair. And this led to her being on break for her a little bit. And you want to know what they did? So Becky realized, okay, I'm in the hottest run of my career. I'm probably going to lose some momentum big time. I could probably lose my title. I need to figure out a way to keep relevancy, but not come off as overbearing. So she did what anyone has the power to do nowadays. Go to social media and tell everyone a new one. Yeah, that's what she did. She had spent a week and a half, and still does now, but this was during her time being injured, where she called out Ronda, she called out Charlotte, she called out Nia Jax, called Nia the B word, said that she'll finish the job with Ronda. She kept changing her Twitter description every single second, and everything she was spewing was like murder to this point. Like, everyone, I would like to place a call for murder on Twitter. You see, Becky is becoming the man, and she's murdering everybody on Twitter who calls her out and tries to call her like she's a bullshitter. But she's spewing facts, and she's spewing evidence, and she's clearly giving points. But, yeah, she's roasting everybody who gets in her way. And, yeah. But here's the thing. Before Last Woman Standing, she roasted Edge big time, where Edge tried to, and a gigantic retcon of his entire character. Edge describes how he did all this stuff in his career during his wrestling years, but then he says that he has no one to look back with. He doesn't have Christian anymore. He doesn't have anyone to look back with. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, Vince, you did not just do this. Are you this desperate to get Becky on this villain side because of her descendancy and trying to make Charlotte this hero? Like, seriously, did he forget what Edge did? Let's see. Yes, Edge did all this heinous things, both real life and in kayfabe. But, let's see, he patched his relationship with Matt Hardy. In storyline, he patched his relationship with Christian. He patched his relationship with Cena. He's buddies with Randy Orton. Why are you treating it like he never reconciled with anybody? That's a blatant retcon. It just infuriates me that Vince really was desperate to get this, that he's going to say Edge did not do any good things, he was always a son of a bitch, and he never reconciled with anybody, both in storyline and in probable real life, because I'm pretty sure Vince really does think he could alter life on a cosmic scale. Yeah, he's not Thanos. And Becky went ahead and basically referenced Edge's neck injury that ended his career and tells him that you better be careful so you don't break your neck again. And everyone was like, oh! And I was thinking like, okay, there's really nothing that can touch her in terms of hateful actions. Like, that clearly would have worked on anyone else. But Becky was so over with fans that wasn't going to work with her. Saying that wasn't going to work. I was convinced that they could go so far as to retcon, and it would not make sense because everyone knows it wouldn't make sense. They could retcon Becky to be the one that set fire to Kane and Undertaker's home that killed their parents in their backstory, and make her be revealed as the one who did it. And fans would be like, Becky, roast them, for reals. And fans would probably love it. They would love that Becky, yeah, she messed with The Undertaker, she messed with Kane, she's badass, even though she clearly killed 2 people in this storyline kayfabe universe. We're kind of sick like that. But yeah, at that that point, I was convinced nothing could touch Becky. Except injuries, which clearly happened. So, yeah, before her return, they tried to replicate Becky's success with Charlotte, but fans, while they loved her beatdown on Ronda, they knew, yeah, you're not going to trick us, Vince. We know what you're saying. You want to make her a Becky Lynch. And Becky destroys Charlotte. Not just on the microphone where she blatantly tells her, you're a bootleg Becky, trying to copy me and trying to ride my coattails. No, she went as far as to make an Instagram post with 24 images, I believe it was, of Charlotte trying to be like Becky and ultimately crashing and burning, pretty much using The Simpsons. And everyone loved it. She just murdered Charlotte. Like, there was no way you could recover from that. Claiming that Charlotte was just trying to copy off of Becky and say she wishes she was Becky, and how everyone's telling her, yeah, you're not Becky, you're Charlotte Flair. And, yeah. And, like, they were clearly trying to make her a Becky, even though you can't beat the original, which was clearly right in front of them. But sure enough, that experiment failed miserably because they clearly didn't seem to get what made Becky so popular. So I have reason to believe that 99% of this was all Becky's idea. All the promos, all the talks, all 100% Becky. So, yeah. Yeah, Becky would return and Charlotte would get to challenge her again. However, thanks to Becky, Asuka was getting a push again, so she was added into the tables, ladders, and chairs match between Becky and Charlotte, and Asuka would win thanks to Ronda Rousey screwing both Becky and Charlotte. But before that, I thought Becky was also going to get screwed by Nia Jax because of what happened earlier in the night. Nia, after she loses to Ronda, gets back into the back after losing, and Becky was all calm and then squarely punches her in the face. And sure enough, it tells Nia, don't ever say my name out of your mouth again. And I was like, okay, she's basically Stone Cold at this point. She's the female interpretation of what Stone Cold would be like if he was a woman. Like, this was clearly being Stone Cold-esque. Like, everyone was doing it. Even my image is showing of the Becky 316 moniker. And, like, everyone's comparing her to Stone Cold. I even advocated that if they do Ronda versus Becky as the main event of WrestleMania, they gotta put Stone Cold as the referee. It's the only thing to do. And if they do that, I want the show to end with Becky and Stone Cold. Go ahead, grab a canisters of beer, and cling them together and celebrate defeating Ronda Rousey. Because that is rumored for WrestleMania next year. For 2019. It's rumored that Becky might take on Ronda to fix what happened because the build-up's been so hot. And with Becky now losing the women's title, that looks more sure. But there is a problem. She faces one more uphill battle. You see, Vince or whoever backstage apparently told Charlotte before her match with Ronda at Survivor Series, and I mean, like, literally minutes before the match. Not really, but it was during that night, where she was told, you're going to main event WrestleMania. We're going to give you favoritism and not even be apologizing for it. And everyone was like, why? You have the match. But now there's a rumor going around that Charlotte might try to replicate Lex Luger and Bret Hart, and that's bullshit. I hope they don't do that. In fact, I had said, like, Charlotte could fight Ronda at the Royal Rumble. Why not just do that? Or they could go ahead and do that and have Becky fight in the Royal Rumble match and basically eliminate Nia Jax like Stone Cold eliminated Kane in 2001. That would actually be kind of awesome. Though they can't do that because, one, that would require steel chair shots to the head, and they can't do that anymore. But yeah, it would have been it would be a pretty awesome thing if they really went with that. In fact, I even came up with a fantasy booking idea, and this was my idea that Becky gets the Royal Rumble victory. She gets to challenge Ronda at WrestleMania. However, the management starts to act more suspicious and more conspicuous and more conspiracy-like, where they try to have Nia try to screw her over big time. That fails. Then they just insert Charlotte in there out of blatant favoritism, bring real-life stuff going on into the story. And then during the match, Nia tries to screw Becky in the triple threat match at WrestleMania, and then we get the first ever official debut of the bastard everyone hates, Kevin Dunn. He tries to screw Becky, and Becky gets the ultimate pop of all time, where she sucker punches Kevin Dunn square in the face. And everyone I know would love to have seen that. One, because Kevin Dunn has it coming for a lot of people. And plus, this is the same guy that kind of hates Becky because she's foreign. Who wouldn't want to see Becky, not only in NXT, but a foreigner, punch the guy who's clearly xenophobic and hateful towards anything Triple H makes? And that would have been glorious. And Becky would ultimately pin Ronda and win. That would honestly be a perfect ending to WrestleMania if they really went there. I don't think they will, because for reasons. But yeah, that would be pretty awesome if they did that. But yeah, Becky is heading into 2019 with fire behind her. She's with momentum. I can't wait what she's gonna do. She's probably gonna destroy more people on Twitter. And during the taping for the first episode of SmackDown in 2019, she destroyed John Cena, something that was never possible at this time. Where she basically tells John Cena that Nikki Bella wasn't going to be the only one that drops him this year. Yeah, and everyone was like cheering for that and booing Ronda when she basically accused of shaming Nikki, even though there was a huge contextual differences, I can guess. Because Ronda accuses that Cena dumped her and threw her out, and Nikki just used Cena for power, which some people can make the argument of. But I know Nikki had to have approved this, since she does have that kind of influence and it does involve her personal life. What Becky, however, was saying was that Nikki dumped Cena before their marriage. And that kind of is true, because reports were coming in that Nikki ended the relationship because Cena really didn't want to go through with it. In fact, it was said he was going through this with gritted teeth. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going to get married. I can't believe this. Because, saying in front of the entire viewing world that you want to pledge your love and your life to her was clearly a business decision and nothing romantic-like. Why do people like Cena again? Oh, he does all the charity work, okay. So, yeah, Becky Lynch had an incredible year, and it looks like she's going to start 2019 off very hot. Like, originally it was going to do Asuka versus Becky at Royal Rumble, but WWE just had recently announced when the McMahons finally took over again, that that rematch clause are no longer an option in storytelling. So at least they're going to get rid of that. But it would have been fun to see Asuka versus Becky. I'm still hoping for that. But yeah, they ended the year perfectly with Becky. Like, she started off floundering, and then just one slap heard around the world gets Becky on top, and her Twitter accounts exploded with popularity. Her name's been synonymous with not just WWE. She's getting mainstream attention now. Like, she's being mentioned and brought up in UFC articles and MMA sites. Like, Conor McGregor acknowledged her and says, "Hey, Becky, do you ever need someone to get in the ring with as a tag team partner?" Which made me think, imagine it. Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar versus Becky Lynch and Conor McGregor. I like if Conor McGregor didn't lose his mind and destroy property and try to endanger people with his goons. That would be a completely disaster. But that would be a pretty freaking awesome match. Like, that's how big Becky has gotten in the span of a couple months. Imagine what would have happened if they went with this for a full year. And if they did it right. Like, Becky's getting all this big notoriety. People want to interview her. People want to talk to her. People are talking about her even when she wasn't being talked about. Like, that's how big Becky has gotten. All it took was one slap and thousands upon millions of fans screaming, "Becky! We want Becky! We want Becky!" And it finally happened. And like, oh my god. When was the last time a woman got this kind of mainstream attention? Like, I want to say Trish Stratus and Lita. Lita for more negative reasons because of what happened with Matt and Edge. That was not a pretty good day. I'm not saying that that's all the attention Lita got. She was always great, and a lot of people did love her. Then that happened, and it was getting real publicized. I could say Trish Stratus or Lita, but I don't really think they really transitioned over to mainstream attention. In fact, if I had to guess, the last time they ever got this kind of mainstream attention when it came to female wrestlers is from a time I'm pretty sure people don't really like to talk about. Sable and Chyna. Yeah, remember Sable was all on fire and she was getting all this attention because she was this woman athlete who was kicking ass and taking names and winning the women's title and beating up the men. And then there's Chyna doing the same thing, but this time winning the Intercontinental title. That was when all this attention was happening, and she was even a contender at one point for the world title. That should have said something like, if Becky is getting this momentum, and I can think of this hasn't been seen since the 90s, not the early 2000s with Trish Stratus and Lita. This is coming from the 90s with Sable and Chyna. Then that should say how big Becky has gotten. Now she's surpassing them most likely. And if it ever comes down to Becky punching Brock Lesnar like Ronda did to Triple H, I will absolutely love every single second of that. Probably because my hatred for Lesnar being lazy in WWE nowadays knows no bounds. So, yeah. Well, everyone, those were my thoughts on Becky Lynch's 2018. Look forward to future wrestling videos of the wrestlers 2018, Aquaman, and even talking about the top matches of Wrestle Kingdom. Coming soon your way for January, and even Kingdom Hearts 3. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for more. Peace out.